All right, what's good, everybody? Peace. So, as y'all can see, this is Stephen A. Smith sit down with Floyd Mayweather. This is a one-on-one. This is 3 years ago, all right? And there's a topic that I've talked on multiple times, whether it's on my podcast or whether it's on here. Something that I've talked on multiple times as it regards to the so-called aboriginals of the land of America. So, Floyd Mayweather is going to say a couple of things here that's very relevant. Revelatory for the mindset for you so-called black men to have. Once again, going into the year 2021, we're at the end of 2020. This is the age of enlightenment, so they're trying to bring us into the fold, the fourfold, and a lot of the things that they do is pretty much just in preparation to get us ready for what's about ready to come on. The worship of the outright Satan worship, the black sun worship, sex trafficking going on. Just outright, pagan worship is Satan worship at its finest. So, but once again, as you can see, Floyd Mayweather, he has on the black shirt. As you can see, it looks like his shorts are also orange. Orange is the color for enlightenment. All right. So there's gonna be a couple of things that he say. He's the enlightener right now. So, and you can see Stephen A. Smith, the Boulay Negro, he's in the black and white for duality. So he's learning from Stephen A. Smith right now, and he's going to say something very relevant. So let's get into it.
Don't know. Do you care? Americans now, that's what we're talking about. I love America. I love this country. I fought for this country in the 96 Olympic Games. And I'll be the first one to tell. I'll be the first one to tell anybody. I'm not an African American. I'm an American.
All right, now you heard what he said. He's fought for this country, okay, and he means that in literal terms. Whether he's not talking about his ancestors or anything like that. He could be, but he's referring to is his actual self when he actually went to the Olympics and fought for this country. So, and he's saying he's not an African. All right, I'm an American. I was born on this soil. This is where I was from. This is where my ancestors are from. This is the land that I was born. This is where I've put blood, sweat, and tears. Why would I go somewhere else? Okay, so let's go.
I was born on American soil, but I did go back to the motherland, and I love it. And made millions going back to the motherland. But I was born in America, and then it's no different from we're gonna go into the Floyd Mayweather line.
So now he's going to explain as to why he says that he's not an African and why why he's saying what he says. So let's understand the psychology of Floyd Mayweather.
When the Europeans came to the Native Americans, but they like to call them Native Americans, but the Indians' land.
Yes, the Native Americans. When the Europeans came over here to the Americans' land, right? The aboriginals of this land were so-called Negro. If you read the book of the voyage of what's the dude's name? Not Americana Vespucci, but damn, it's a book that I have. So, anyways, the voyage conquest of not Americana Vespucci, but John de Verrazano. There we go. So as when they came over here to these sides, or to this side of the continent. At first, what they did was they ran into, the Caribbean. So people, the Haitians and the Puerto Ricans and things of that nature, the people that are on the Caribbean, right, on the islands. So the people that they saw on those islands, they said were tawny, right? And they called them, the red people. So if we understand that we're aboriginal to every landmass, right? And we were, tawny, which is like a red or, a type of color. If you look at Floyd, he's the same way. You can also look up these definitions. But, when they called us these, and they called us very similar to the Ethiopians, but we're not as dark. We're broad. Our hairs were in ponytails, things of that nature, high cheekbones. So by the way that we're built, we have differences from the Africans and the Egyptians. That's who they're referring to. When they refer to the Egyptians, they're referring to the Africans, things of that nature. So let's keep going.
We don't call them European Americans, so I don't want to be called African American.
Right. So when the people that came over here, we don't call them European Americans that conquered this land, right? Even though they've inherited that identity of American, and that's why it's applied to them to this day. Even if you go to if you go to Merriam-Webster's Dictionary of 1858 and you look in the definition of an American, you will find out that it is actually applied to the descendants of the Europeans founded. It's applied to the descendants of the founders of Europeans, pretty much. So that's who it's applied to now. But if you look it up, the original definition is applied to the aboriginals of the land of America. The red or the copper colored race. If you look at Floyd Mayweather's skin tone, he's not the color of an African. He's clearly not black. He's clearly a brown. He's clearly a brown man, or like a red or a tawny type thing, right? Or even Benjamin Franklin. When you look up his journals and a lot of the travel journals, he referred to a lot of the people as was it Tawny? He referred to people as Rudy or Ruddy, which is like a red or a brown type thing. So once again, even if we understand that the motherland is so-called Africa or anything, and at one point in time the so-called blacks who dominated and ruled Europe, why don't we call those blacks over there African Europeans? You understand? Or the people over in Mexico that are aboriginal to that land, why don't we call them why don't we call them African Mexicans? Things of that nature. So, or the people in Brazil or Haiti, why don't we call them, or the aboriginals of Poland? We don't call them Polish Africans or African Polish, or African Haitians and things of that nature. Why is it only applied to us? And so he's saying that he's even been back to the quote unquote so-called motherland. He's calling it that for the pro-black and pro-woke community, for all you for niggas who who adhere to that nonsense.
I'm an American. You know what I'm saying? You can call me a black American, but I'm an American.
And listen, he said you can call him a black American, but he is an American. He understands that there is no designation for the word black. There is no land that you can go to called black. There is no language that we speak called black, all right? There is no culture amongst us that's black culture. We don't have a culture out here in America. So once again, Floyd Mayweather is a very high level, Luciferian and wizard, but he also is a very intelligent person for him not being able to read and things of that nature. He's a very smart brother, man. You can't sleep on this brother. So let me go back and get this in context a little bit.
America, and it's no different from we're gonna go into the Floyd Mayweather mind. So when the Europeans came to the Native Americans, well, they like to call them Native Americans, but the Indians' land, we don't call them European Americans. So I don't want to be called African American. I'm an American.
And he has a very good point. He has a very valid point.
You know what I'm saying? You can call me a black American, but I'm an American.
So if America,
when
on August 26th, go ahead.
When I competed in the Olympics, they didn't say fighting an African American. They said that American that's fighting out of the...
Exactly, because they understand the Olympics is it's really a chance for so-called everyone to compete, but it's more about your tribal heritage when it comes to the Olympics. They're not referring to you as an African American. You're referred to as an American because that's where you are. Most of the people of the captivity of America are not of African descent, and that's a fact. Most people happen to be descendants from Europe or things of that nature. A lot of people came. What they did, according to the Paiso family, they took a lot of the people that were over here on the land and sent them out there. But, that's according to the scriptures, but that's another story, so.
Red corner or out the blue corner.
So you're an American?
Absolutely.
Bleeding red, white, and blue. Of course I am.
Absolutely.
Of course I am proud of that. But here's the deal.
And
for America on August...
One thing about me, I don't forget where I come from. I come from poverty. I come from the hood. I come from the streets.
And he don't come from Africa, so if he comes from the poverty of out here, why would he, Never mind.
And I'm an American dream. I work my way from nothing to something. So
And I'm proud of you for that, brother. You deserve nothing but accolades for that. But that's all that we got for here. I just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know a little bit, how you guys should be paying attention on things that the people say and also the things that they wear. Once again, with the black and orange, the orange is for enlightenment. 2020 is the year of enlightenment. So, he was being the enlightener, so-called, for this interview. But yeah, that's all we got. Y'all be safe, man. I'm out. All right, so this is something that I found as in relation to the statement that I made at the very end of the video, and this is how I'm going to close it out as well, just to provide a little bit more context to the statement that I made. So the term is swarthy Germans. That was referred to as the Germans referred to as the so-called blacks, and Benjamin Franklin to be exact. It wasn't dusky or anything like that. It was ruddy. It was tawny, and it was also swarthy. But let's get into it. So it says here, Louise Rambaugh adds some valuable perspective to the immigration debate by citing some of the Ben Franklin's thoughts on the horrors of the United States being overrun by German immigrants, right? And it says, why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into our settlements, and by herding together establish their language and manners to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion? He goes on to say, which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionately very small. All Africa is black or tawny. Once again, that's that word being used. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the new corners, wholly so. Right? And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes, they generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans, also the Saxons only excepted, who, with the English, make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. I could wish their numbers were increased, and while we are, as I may call it, skirting our planet by clearing America of woods, and so making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus. Why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity, by excluding all blacks and tawnies, of increasing the lovely white and red? Why, perhaps, I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. Okay, now we can, debate about, what it's talking about or whatever, but, you can go over that yourself. But so what he's saying, on whole is that, if all of Africa is black or tawny, Asia is chiefly tawny, America wholly so, and in Europe, the Spaniards, Italian, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans also. So, like I was saying earlier, like what Floyd was saying, the notion of just, subscribing to the notion that, we all come from just one place is, and Stephen A. Smith will say blasphemous. As we can see, this is around the time of, I want to say, the late or the middle 1700s, right? So this is before or still during the colonization of America. And they were still referring to America being wholly so of tawny, right? And we're going to go into those definitions as well. So, once again, you can come from anywhere. You can be from the descendants of Europe. Your parents or, your bloodline could be from, German descendants. You understand? So, Polish descendants, whatever the case may be, you can be from anywhere. It's not exclusive, especially when you look at what actually happened in the trade, in the slave trade. So as we see here, a definition ready that was referred to and called upon our people is like a red color, right? And we understand the Native Americans, or the quote unquote Indians, were the red people, the first inhabitants, right? And I've been over multiple times how I went over in the video, not multiple times, but I've went over how when you look up the actual definition of American is, applied to the copper colored races, the original inhabitants of America, right? So the copper colored, or, the red skins, things of that nature. But anything it says ready of a person's face, right? So it's referring to the complexion having a healthy red color, right? Or used as a euphemism for bloody, right? So what they're referring to is red. When you open up an orange, a blood orange, it's red in there. That's the actual, the red. But, once again, our people is referred to as, red people, the Native Americans. So when you look up a running red horse or a red horse, this is what you see. I'm gonna zoom in. You see that? This is the color of Floyd Mayweather. Okay, Floyd, is also this complexion, the copper colored races, the red people. You understand? Even this one down here. Let me zoom in again, you see? So once again, the red-skinned people, they range from anywhere from, the very, very light skin, like anyone who knows who Sinbad is, or even somebody like me in my complexion, or Steph Curry's complexion, all the way up until, dark like the Egyptians, but mainly they're so-called red. They don't happen to get that dark too often. You understand? Now, I thought this was kind of cool, as to saying, the approach with the community is, waking up. When you look up the copper colored people on Google, this is what happens to come up, you see? So when we zoom in, these are the people who we refer to as, so these people are who we refer to as the Native Americans, or the Indians of so-called today. But when you look at their complexion next to copper, it doesn't seem to match. So let's go over to the red people, or the actual aboriginals of the land, right? And we look at them next to pennies. This looks spot on. And once again, the definition at the bottom, American, a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginals, or copper-colored races, found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. So once again, if we go over here, look, we have people from all different shades of the so-called light-skinned brother right here in the middle, golden. You see the sister at the top, chocolate, like she's not very, very dark like the Africans get, but our people do happen to get that skin tone. If you see at the bottom as well, we come from the dirt, from the soil. The Egyptians and the Africans and the Hamites, they're a little darker than we are. You understand? So, we go over here next to a punny. They don't seem to match up. They don't seem to be. They don't seem to line up with the scriptures, or to line up who it actually fits. So, okay. So as we see now, the definition of swarthy, which is another word called upon our people, means dark-skinned, or or dark-skinned, or dark complexion, dusky. That's another word that I use. Tanned, black, saturnine, olive-skinned, or like so-called green, right? Swallow, swart. And the opposite will be pale or fair. All right, so now just to add more context, because, I got to, a lot of our people are dumb and won't look shit up themselves. So here we go. Like I said, our people range from, very, very light skin, or, this is what you call, if you see a woman, this skin tone, we refer to her as a red bone. You understand? And they're referring to, once again, the aboriginals, to pretty much every landmass, whether it's, Europe, whether it's Germany, Asia, like how they said, chiefly so, things of that nature. So, and one thing about the Americans, the aboriginals to the America, when you look at people, their phenotype and their body structure and things of that nature. So once again, in the travel journals of not Americano Vespucci, but damn it, what's the book that I got, man? If you look at the travel journals of not Americano Vespucci. The Voyages of John de Verrazano. He's referred to our people, as being broad in the chest and having, hair that goes down to about their shoulders and things of that nature. Because, our people, we don't cut our hair. The hair is known as the antennas, and we know, we understand that the ancients and the Aztecs and things of that nature, they're very in tune, with their spirituality and their culture, so they didn't cut their hair and things of that nature. So, yeah. And when we look at Alexander the Great, somebody who ruled actually out there in Germany, when you look at him, he was actually a so-called black man. They had him done in copper color as well. So once again, our people range from very light skin to dark like the Egyptians and the Hamites. But how you can tell the difference is, once again, the phenotype and the body shape. You understand? So one person, for instance, Scottie Pippen, right? When you look at Scottie Pippen, he is a copper-colored Aboriginal. When you look at his phenotype and his face structure and things of that nature, he looks like he comes, like his ancestors comes somewhere from the South, mainly the Mississippi. Looks like, the mound builders and things of that nature. And once again, we can show this, through ancient history. So if we look at, one of the mound builders in Mississippi, okay, of Oklahoma. In the Midwest, we see, the very long nose, the very, broad chin, long head, things of that nature. And they're mound builders, so they're known to be strong people as well. So if we look at another picture, you see, the huge nose, the very big, broad nose, the very big head, the strong, prominent chin, the high cheekbones, things of that nature. So when we look at them again, let's go back. When we look at them again, you can see the features. And once again, I held up all the pictures of, the pennies and things of that nature. You can look, you can see your damn self. So when we go to Hakeem Olajuwon, right, who is an African or a Hamite, as we would call him, right, according to the scriptures. You can see he's a very, very strong man. He was athletic, tall. He's African. The Africans and the Egyptians and the Hamites, they were known for being very tall people. You understand? So how we can tell the difference is the body type. Once again, they're known for being very tall, lanky type people. Our people were known for being broad in the shoulders. It's like Scottie Pippen, things of that nature. When you look at Charles Barkley, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And when we look at another African, Bobo, all right, he actually went back over there to Africa to kill a lion. You can look this up yourself. That's a part of his tribe. You understand? So once again, you can see through the phenotype and body structure, as well as the skin type, as you can see, they're very, very dark skinned. Let me zoom in a little bit. We have people who are this color as well. You understand? But not mainly so. Once again, if we go back to Hakeem the Dream, he's very dark skinned as well. Okay. Now, when we go to another person of African descent, we look at Taco Fall, very tall, lanky, not broad in the shoulders. Of course, he's very strong, but at the same with Hakeem, they're not too broad in the shoulders like that, like a LeBron James or a Giannis Antetokounmpo. Look, they're very long and lanky. You understand? Another one. And this is him. This is an American Negro over here on the left, right? And you can see the difference. Okay. Yes, we are all, we may be black, but just because you skin folk don't make you kinfolk. All right. Now, one of the all-time greats, Wilt Chamberlain. All right. When you look at his body, you can see the difference between his skin tone and Taco Fall's skin tone. You can see he has more broad shoulders. This man was a world-class athlete from high school till college. He was an Olympian, things of that nature, right? You can see the difference, especially even the phenotype. You can tell he's of American descent. You can tell with Taco Fall, Hakeem Olajuwon, things of that nature. These people are from Africa. Okay, so when we go another picture to Hakeem, when he was more slim and things of that nature. So another picture of Hakeem when he was more slim. You can see the complexion, very tall. He was a little lanky, but he was able, but he put on that man weight and got a lot more broad because, that's mainly how our bodies are. Understand? So when you look at Shaquille O'Neal, who came into the league, This is what he came into the league looking like a Giannis Antetokounmpo. You see, he's dark skinned, you know, but he's not like a Manu Bol dark. He's very dark though. So once again, you know, our people, they range from very totally different. We have multiple different variations, you know, differentiations among skin tones and things of that nature, more than anyone else. Okay. So if you look at him, you see his shoulders more broad. He looks a lot more stronger. He's not too lanky. You can see he came in with a little bit of body fat. He was very slim, but he, you know, ended up putting on weight down, you know, down the line and things of that nature. Shaquille O'Neal again. Much broad at the shoulders. You understand? Now, this is another person who's came into prominence. He's actually he's from Greece. Okay? He identifies as African. But when you look at his body figure, he doesn't look like an African. You understand? So, based on, you know, once again, phenotype and, you know, your figure and bone structure and things of that nature, you can kind of tell he looks like more closely aligned to, you know, the Europeans, the aboriginals of the Europeans, and, you know, more over here so as well in America as well. But he doesn't look like an African. And look at his shoulders. He's much more broad. So he's not, he doesn't really look like a Hamite and things of that nature, okay? So, is that it? Yeah, that's all we got here for today, man. So, you know, I hope that was enough for you brothers. But, you know, we're not going to get, you know, too many people that agree. And that's fine. As long as you know, I encourage disagreement as long as you do so intelligently, all right? I'm out, y'all. Peace.